Hello everybody, welcome back to Blast Away the Game Review. I'm your host Dustin Murphy. Today we are taking a look at the Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood class, the Samurai. Now the Samurai does have a little bit of an interesting ordeal going with it because you have two gauges you're working with. As you can see, you're going to be working with a gauge called the Sen gauge and one called the Kenki gauge. Now both of these gauges feel a little differently. The Kenki gauge is based on Sen abilities, but also it has a few abilities such as NP which allow you to build your gauge quicker. This allows for abilities such as Chitin to be used, which increases your damage. Now, because I am only a 53 Samurai, this is a beginner tutorial for the class. This is not for people who are looking for 60 and up. This is truly for 50 to 53 to give you a generalized idea behind your class. Now, I will be going over Ijutsu, which includes 3 abilities that use the Sen gauge called Higanbana, Tenki Goken, Midori Setsugeka. These 3 abilities all depend on the gauge, and because that gauge is so important, your AoE abilities also fuel the Sen gauge. This includes Oka, this also includes Mangetsu, and Fuga. Now to begin, I will be doing single target attacks to give you an idea of the generalized attack rotation for the Samurai. To start out, I will be using Jinpu, Hikaze, and Gecko. To do this, I will get a 1-charge Sen gauge, which will allow me to use Higanbana, which is a single target dot. Now the important thing to take a note from with Jinpu is Jinpu offers you a 10% damage increase, which is actually extremely important to keep up at all times if possible. Now, do be aware this will fall off in combat, as I am on the target dummy, so I can keep it up as much as I want with the striking dummy, which is a level 50. To begin, as you can see, I'm rotating from Jinpu to Shifu to Kasha. This allows me to get an increased attack speed, rotation ability, and readiness so that I can attack a lot quicker. Now, Yuki Kaze is one of the more interesting abilities because it is the ability that decreases the amount of damage resistance the target will have to slashing, which is extremely important for you Samurai users out there. So again, I will be rotating the rotation one more time, but I will also be using NP, which I mentioned, powering up Hisatsu Chitin, which increases all damage from an ability by 50%. Doing that allowed me to increase the damage of my Midori Setsugeka. Again, I'll go ahead and level this gauge one more time to show you what I was talking about. So Higanbana, which is the first Sen gauge, Yuki Kaze to decrease damage resistance to slash. I'll use Jinpu to increase my damage output. And now I will use Tenki Goken, which I mentioned is our conal AoE attack using Ijutsu. As you can see, we do have an ability straight off the bat called Maiko Shisu. Now this ability is actually really cool because it allows us to fill our Sen gauge up without having to worry about rotation restrictions, meaning you don't need your combo abilities at all to gain the combo buffs for each attack. Now, I don't mean to open up that, I really didn't mean to open that, sorry. But as you will see, critical hit and direct hit are going to be a really important feature of the Samurai in the long run, so definitely keep those in mind when you're testing your DPS. But we will pop Maiko Shisui, and as you can see here, all my combo abilities have lit up, allowing me to access the Sen gauge however I wanted without being restricted to a combo. Again, I'm just basically doing the basic rotation, which includes Jinpu to Yuki Kaze. I'll do pop Chitin, and then we will go ahead and pop Shifu. As you can see, Chitin didn't do just a whole lot for Shifu and Kasha, but it still did enough that my damage output was moderately upgraded. Now from here, we will be taking a look at AoE just here in a moment. But again, even with AoE, you still want to keep up your dots, you want to keep your damage resistance from Yuki Kaze, so we'll go ahead and pop Yuki Kaze once more on the striking dummy. I'll go ahead and get Shifu to get my buff out of Shifu. I'll go ahead and do the one single target, and then I'll use Tenka Gogen with the Titan buff, which increased my AoE damage in the tonal direction. As you can see here, oops, I didn't mean to pop Kasha. So we'll pop Fuga, which is your conal AoE single target. You'll still have to be locked onto a single target. Now with your abilities Oka and Mengetsu, that will not be the case, especially since these two do not require target lock-on to activate. Now to actually get them to do their damage bonus without damage degradation, you will want to combo using Fuga. As you can see here, I'm going back to my basic rotation. I'll pop Ukekabe again to decrease slashing resistance. Now slashing resistance seems like it may also benefit your red mages, so definitely keep it on there because your red mages are going to be one of the most popular classes right now. And so your raid team's going to love you, so will your dungeon team if you're grouped with a red mage. So again, Fuga, Mengetsu. And as you can see here, I am completely out of TP. That is one thing you are going to want to pay attention about because Samurai do use a lot of TP if you're going AoE crazy. Now, because of this rotation being as simple as it is, I do feel a lot of you probably have a simple feel for it. So I'll go ahead and stop talking here, and so all of you know, we will be taking a look at Red Mage here soon, as well as PvP changes on Blastway the Game Review. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope it helps out and gives you a generalized idea of the Samurai class. If you have any questions, please let us know in the comments. Again, I'm your host, Dustin Murphy, and I want to thank all of you for tuning in. If you liked what you saw, please hit that subscribe button. We will be doing a lot more tutorials for a vast amount of games. If you have specific requests that we may be able to complete, put them down in the comments below. We'll definitely get in touch with the developers. If you are a developer, please feel free to contact us through the Contact Us tab on our website or blastawaythegamereview@gmail.com. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed.